cold. I think that looks good. Hey, hi.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hi.
I'm Callista. You can call me Callie.
I'm Emma. There is not really a way to shorten that.
So we're both 22. We're from Calgary, Alberta. So blessed to grow up in the Great White North.
Snows 8 months of the year. Freezing cold.
And it's 5 p.m. and it's dark out right now.
Yeah.
We met our first week of university in 2016.
That feels like an eternity ago. We'll be done in December and it'll be 4.5 years. We love higher education.
So I went into kinesiology because I really liked biology and sports medicine. And there was really nothing else that I was super interested in, I felt like. That was my whole life mapped out.
I chose kines because my favorite subject in school was biology and I loved learning about the human body.
It's like science, but not the boring parts of science.
I remember in my first year, I saw a fair going on in one of the buildings. There was a display talking about doing study abroads and I saw Australia and I was like, I am going.
Originally, I wanted to go to the US for school and go to like LA and do like sound production.
Oh yeah, you did tell me that.
And then I was like, where can I go to school and travel? Like I thought about going to like the University of Hawaii, but tuition in the States is so expensive.
Crazy.
Like it's not worth it. So my mom was like, does the U of C do exchanges? Like what's up with that? And I was like, yes, they do. I must go there. It was peer pressure to get a degree and also travel. We ended up in all of the same classes in the second semester, in the winter semester. Like
we were attached at the hip for 6 months. That was foreshadowing to how well we travel together.
Yeah.
We live not very far away from each other. So we were together 4 hours a day and then we would drive home together and often hang out.
Yeah.
We were together literally all the time.
Okay, so right at the start of the second semester, in second year, second semester, Emma and I have every class together.
Yeah.
So I think it must have been February because it was pretty cold out.
Yeah.
Initially.
So me and our other friend Brooke.
Shout out to Brooke, we love you.
We love you, Brooke. She was saying like, I want to book a flight right now. I want to find someone who will book a flight and go with me. And I said to her, I'll book a flight right now. Like we can go to Europe, wherever you want. And then Callista came out at the end of the class and then we started talking about it and then we dropped our friend off at her class and then that entire hour we spent Googling flight prices and places in Europe we wanted to go to.
Like how much it would be to just like, how much is a round trip flight to Europe? Like, I don't know that just off the top of my head. I've never been to Europe before.
After that day, we didn't stop talking about it.
We were like, we could actually just like,
go
do it. Like everyone always talks about how much they want to go travel. Do it.
I always tell, like whenever people ask me, I say book the flight and figure out everything else after. Because once the flight is booked, you can't back out.
You need a flight, you need a place to stay, and you need to know where you want to go. Basically,
it's hard not to get into everything.
I know, because I'm like, let me go. We planned everything and we were like, okay, where do we want to go? And we decided to go to London and then we went to Amsterdam in the Netherlands and it was fire as well. And then we were like, let's go to Italy.
Italy was probably the bulk of our trip. We spent the most time there.
And then we had to choose our classes in March, at the end of March, I think, for the next year. And we were like, well, should we just go on a study abroad and like go somewhere else and see if we can get some of our kines classes like checked off? We
were sitting in the main area of the kinesiology faculty and me, Brooke, and Callista were sitting there. One of us said maybe we should just do it and go to Australia and I think we immediately went over.
We all looked at each other. It was like you could feel the vibe change. We were like,
oh, okay.
That was in March of 2018. We had signed up to go in the January winter semester of 2019.
So we had a year.
So we were simultaneously signing up to go on our study abroad while me and Emma and Brooke were also planning our Europe trip and we were trying to figure everything out and it was like, we need to save money. Recommendation for the study abroad was to save 10K and we were like, okay, and we did it. As a student, I feel like so many people are like, you can't do anything, but like, you really can, and if you know what to look for, like it helps so much.
As a disclaimer,
we recognize our privilege and that not everybody has this opportunity.
Yeah. But we didn't use student loans for our Europe trip or...
We've never used student loan money for traveling. We got accepted into the study abroad program. It was sick. We loved it. No, just kidding. Nothing happened for months. And then pretty much spent the rest of the year saving money and working, trying to get ready and prepare for this study abroad. And honestly, it was some tough shit.
Yeah. We were working basically 6 days a week. It was rough. because of how
It was
we
a
did
lot
it.
of pressure. I think it's such a big thing to do, like when you take on that kind of, like that's just a big commitment to try to do. Like you're gonna move across the world for 6 months. Like Australia and Canada are far apart.
Yeah,
And
there's
to
no,
take
like,
that on, like mentally to know that that's what you're doing, and then to also be trying to prepare for it
Yeah.
and plan for it and be excited for it, it's very stressful.
and terrifying.
Like you go through a lot of emotions. Like we were going through it leading up to this. The payoff was big, but the work to go in was big too. It's worth it. I want to share with people how to do it.
Yeah.
Like it's so worth it when you just stop letting society tell you what to do.
And we're not gonna like try to glamorize the fact that travel is all happiness. I remember leading up to our trip to Australia, because of all the stress that we were under, when we were in Europe, I remember distinctly we were walking down a street in Italy talking about we were discussing whether or not we should not do the study abroad. We were saying, because we were in Europe, and Europe it doesn't seem so far from Canada. Australia seems impossible to reach. And just thinking about the fact you can't really just book a flight home
Like
from Australia.
if you're in Europe, you can get on a 10-hour flight and be
Yeah.
home. If you're in Australia to get home,
it's about 24 hours.
you're
of
flying
travel.
for 24 hours
Yeah.
at least to get home. And you can always go home, but
It's a lot.
it's not
more-
always
yeah.
feasible to just go home when you feel like giving up.
Yeah.
That is like the hardest part about traveling. Like it's not always fun.
So I remember us talking about that and thinking maybe we shouldn't do it. Obviously, I'm so glad that we did, but like I think a lot of people on the internet especially will glamorize travel, and I think that a lot of people have it easy, but it's not great all the time. We cry a lot.
So much. The number one thing I think I learned traveling is the first night doing anything. It started as the first night in any new place is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
You cannot do that, but it's translated into anything. Like the first everything is garbage. And it's crazy how like there's been so many times like I'm like, oh my god, I'm in the most beautiful place in the world and I'm sitting here crying.
And it's okay to cry. I've never been so happily sad. I've never been so happy to be sad as when I'm traveling. Like there are overwhelming emotions, and especially on the first night when you're tired, you've gotten off a plane, you've had to
Everything is
figure out how to
messed
get to
up.
your hotel
You're
or
just
your hostel or
exhausted,
whatever.
hungry.
Yeah, everything not good. But you also the sadness has never been so good.
The sadness hits.
Yeah.
So there's like that.
It also depends on your priorities. Like we prioritize travel because we love it so much, but
Yeah.
obviously not everyone prioritizes travel. I'm not saying like don't worry about your student loans and go spend them all traveling, or don't worry about saving any money. Obviously, if it's a priority for you to pay off student loans first,
Then do
by
that.
all
Do
means.
that.
We are comfortable spending money on it because it's a priority in our lives. Like we have that in our mind constantly.
Obviously, if you're going traveling and you're just doing a trip over like a certain amount of time, that's a lot less pressure to save that money than it is to save enough money to live in another country for a year.
Yeah. When you're traveling, like when we were traveling through Europe, hostels are not that expensive. And especially if you are lucky and you can go during the off season, things are really cheap.
I know there's nothing, like I don't know very much, but it's funny because other people are like, how do you do this?
Yeah. We definitely still have a lot to learn, but I think we have a lot to share as well for anyone who is just where we were in March 2018.
Yeah, like it's been 2 years. We've spent this entire last year. This last year, 2020, is the longest time we've spent at home, basically. Like the longest consecutive time we spent at home in 2 years.
Quarantine life. But it's given us time to work on ourselves and save money for our future trips. We have stuff planned for when it's safe. Oh, do you see it? We're planning a trip for after quarantine is over and we have the okay to travel again when it's safe from COVID and everything. And we want to show you guys how we plan a trip from start to finish, basically.
How to ball on a budget as a student, except we're not going to be students anymore, but this is still applicable to pretty much anyone who wants to travel and doesn't know how.
It seems very daunting to approach all of it in one go. When you know what to look for,
Like finding locations, places to stay, flights, all of it, like will take you along. And
we also just want to document our future travel experiences. We have a lot to learn and we have a lot planned, and we want to document it. We did school on the west coast of Australia in Perth. We didn't spend a lot of time on the east coast, so you will be seeing us plan a trip for somewhere that we don't know much
Anything
about.
Yeah. I hope you guys like it and you guys want to like follow and listen to what we have to say. This is for the future person watching this. Whoever you are, thank you for viewing it to this point.
Yeah.
But if there's anything specific, like questions or anything you would like to see or have us talk about, please let us know. And maybe if this pops off, like we'll have a lot of questions, then we can do question videos and answer questions for you guys.
That would be sick.
But
that's the dream.
bye.
Bye.